Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, True Scary Stories. Where are you watching from tonight, and what time is it in your country? Have you shared my channel with your friends yet, or are you keeping these whispers all to yourself? Tonight, we're going to step into a place so familiar, it might be the last place you'd expect to feel the cold touch of the unnatural. We're going to a modern high-rise office building, one of those gleaming towers of glass and steel that hums with ambition during the day. But after midnight, that hum fades. The ambition goes home, and the building settles into a different kind of life. Its bones creak, its ventilation sighs, and its empty spaces watch. The story you're about to become a part of is a reminder that the most sterile corporate environments can hide the deepest, oldest fears. The fear of being trapped, the fear of the dark, and the fear of not being alone when you are absolutely certain you should be. You'll probably make it out okay. Statistically speaking anyway. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Let me know in the comments where you're listening from and what time it is. I love seeing how far these stories travel in the dark. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that low, unsettling hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. The exhaustion is a physical weight. It's in your shoulders, a dull ache that has settled deep into the muscle. It's behind your eyes, a gritty pressure that makes the fluorescent glare of your monitor feel like staring into a miniature sun. It's well past midnight. The project you've been chained to for the last week is finally, blessedly, done. You hit send on the last email, and the soft whoosh from your computer speakers is the sweetest sound you've heard all day. It's the sound of permission, the sound of release. You can go home. You lean back in your ergonomic chair, a chair that cost the company $1,000 and still feels like it was designed by someone who fundamentally misunderstands the human spine. And you listen. The silence is what hits you first. During the day, this floor is a cacophony of ringing phones, clacking keyboards, and the low murmur of 30 different conversations. Now, the only sound is the gentle whir of your computer's fan and the electric buzz of the overhead lights. It's a dead quiet. The kind of quiet that makes you aware of your own heartbeat, a soft, muffled drum against your ribs. You are the last one here. Again, you've become the unofficial night watchman of the 27th floor, a title that comes with no extra pay but plenty of existential dread. At least the coffee in the break room is all yours, though at this hour it's more of a lukewarm, tar-like substance. A perfect metaphor for your career trajectory, you sometimes think. You start the shutdown sequence on your computer. The screen goes black, reflecting a tired, distorted version of your face. You look pale, haunted by the glow of 1,000 spreadsheets. As you stand and stretch, a constellation of pops and cracks emanates from your spine. The building around you seems to echo the sentiment. A low groan travels through the structure, the sound of steel contracting in the cool night air. Or maybe it's just settling. Buildings this tall are designed to sway, to have a little give. It's a fact that's meant to be reassuring, but right now, it feels less like engineering genius and more like the slow, deep breath of a slumbering giant. It's interesting how our perception of sound changes with the absence of light and people. This is related to a well-known phenomenon in horror, often seen in stories about premature burial from the 18th and 19th centuries. When Edgar Allan Poe wrote his famous tales, he tapped into a very real, very mainstream fear. People were so terrified of being buried alive that they invented safety coffins with bells, breathing tubes, and even escape hatches. The horror wasn't just the confinement, it was the thought of waking up in absolute silence, where every rustle of your own clothes, every frantic heartbeat, would be amplified into a symphony of terror. Your office, in this moment, is a vertical coffin, and you're the only one conscious inside. You grab your coat and your bag, the soft scrape of the fabric seeming impossibly loud in the stillness. You take one last look around the vast open-plan office. Empty desks stretch out in a grid of dark wood and black leather. Monitors sleep, their dark screens like rows of polished tombstones. Little personal trinkets, a Funko Pop here, a framed family photo there, look like grave goods, offerings left for the spirits of the departed 9-to-5ers. You find it darkly funny that you spend most of your waking hours in a place that feels more like a mausoleum than an office after dark. You wonder if the cleaning crew will find your fossilized remains one day, permanently fused to your ergonomic chair. That would certainly be one way to get out of the next quarterly review. There's an old piece of Midwestern folklore, an obscure little superstition that says you should never be the last person to leave a workplace. The belief is that the spirit of the work, the collective energy, stress, and ambition poured into the building all day, needs a place to rest. If it finds only one soul left behind, it can latch on, following them home and souring their domestic life with the phantom anxieties of the office. It's a silly thought, of course, but as you stand there, bathed in the cold, sterile light, you can't help but feel the weight of all those accumulated hours of toil, a psychic residue clinging to the very air. You make a mental note to stop reading weird folklore blogs at 3 a.m. It's clearly not helping your already frayed nerves. Still, you find yourself walking just a little bit faster towards the exit. You begin the long walk to the elevator bank at the far end of the floor. Your footsteps echo on the low-pile carpet, a soft, rhythmic thump-thump-thump that sounds less like you and more like someone following you. It's an auditory illusion, you tell yourself. Your brain is tired, primed for patterns, and eager to turn the mundane into the menacing. The human mind is a fantastic horror writer, always ready to pitch a terrifying new story with you as the unwilling protagonist. The emergency lights cast long, distorted shadows that dance and writhe in your peripheral vision. The ficus plant in the corner becomes a hunched figure. The coat rack by the conference room door becomes a tall, skeletal man. You know, rationally, that these are just tricks of the light, but the primitive, reptilian part of your brain isn't interested in rational explanations. It's screaming at you to run. You pass rows of cubicles, each a little diorama of a life you only partially know. There's Brenda from accounting's collection of cat mugs, each one with a different pun. "I'm feline good," one proclaims, its cheerful ceramic grin seeming manic and unsettling in the gloom. There's David from marketing's shrine to his favorite sports team, the miniature helmets like the skulls of tiny vanquished warriors. Every single desk is a testament to a person who is currently warm in their bed, probably dreaming of anything but TPS reports and synergy meetings. The jealousy is a sharp, bitter pang. You wonder if any of them ever think about the building at this hour, about the profound emptiness it holds. Probably not. They have lives. You have billable hours. As you walk, you notice the sounds again. Not just the building settling, but smaller, more distinct noises. A soft tick from inside a darkened office. A low hum from the server room that seems to modulate, rising and falling like a breath. A faint, almost inaudible scrape from the ceiling above. It's probably just the HVAC system kicking in or a mouse in the vents. Researchers disagree on the extent to which infrasound, low-frequency sound below the level of human hearing can affect mood and perception. Some studies suggest that these vibrations, often present in older, large buildings, can cause feelings of unease, anxiety, and even the sense of a presence, as the sound waves subtly vibrate our internal organs. You basically being given a haunted house experience courtesy of industrial-grade air conditioning. Lucky you, maybe you can write it off as a business expense. The thought brings a grim smile to your face. That's your second darkly humorous thought tonight. You're on a roll. Maybe you should start an open mic comedy night for the sleep-deprived and overworked. The material is certainly plentiful. The headliner could be the ghost of quarterly earnings past. You shake your head, trying to clear the cobwebs of fatigue. The elevator bank is just ahead, its stainless steel doors gleaming under a single, dedicated spotlight. It looks like a stage, and you're the only actor in a very strange, very quiet play. The world of paranormal investigation is filled with stories of office hauntings. They are, in fact, one of the most common types of reported hauntings, right up there with hospitals and theaters. Think about it, a place of high emotion, stress, pressure, and repetition. People pour their frustrations, their triumphs, and their anxieties into these spaces day after day. It's a veritable psychic battery. The famous case of the Gray Lady of Willard Library in Indiana is a good example. She's one of America's most well-documented ghosts, seen by dozens of employees and patrons over the decades. She's mostly harmless, known for moving books and causing flickering lights. The general consensus is that she's a residual haunting, a non-sentient replay of past events. You sincerely hope that if your building has a ghost, it's a boring residual one. You don't have the energy to deal with an interactive poltergeist-type entity tonight. You'd probably just ask it if it could help you with your expense reports. You approach the elevators. There are 4 of them in a row. 3 are dark, their floor indicators unlit and lifeless. But one, the third from the left, is waiting. Its call button is illuminated with a soft, white glow. Not the up or down button that a person would press, but the circular light around the button. The one that indicates a car is arriving or waiting, but it's not arriving. It's just there, waiting for you. You didn't press the button. You're the only person on the entire floor. You stare at it for a long moment, the little white halo of light feeling less like a convenience and more like a summons. There's a strange, obscure bit of lore from the early days of skyscraper construction in New York, a ghost story whispered among iron workers. They called it the lure light. The tale goes that sometimes a new building would be hungry. It would get a taste for the life and energy of the men who built it, and after it was finished, it would try to claim one more. It would manifest as an unexplained light, a lit window in an empty office, a welcoming lamp in a deserted lobby, or an elevator waiting on a vacant floor to lure a final victim inside its walls. Just a silly story, a way for tough men to process the very real dangers of their job. Still, as you look at the glowing button, the phrase lure light echoes in your tired mind. You could always take the stairs. 27 flights, your legs ache at the very thought. No, that's ridiculous. It's just a minor electrical glitch, a sensor malfunction. A perfectly normal, non-supernatural occurrence in a building maintained by the lowest bidder. You press the glowing button, it makes no sound. The doors slide open with a silent hydraulic sigh. The walk down the final stretch of corridor to that waiting elevator feels different. The air grows still, heavy. The temperature seems to drop by a few degrees, a classic sign that the building's climate control system has switched to its energy-saving night mode. You have to keep reminding yourself of the logical explanations. It's the only way to keep the rising tide of unease from cresting into full-blown panic. The fluorescent lights above you flicker in a steady, rhythmic pattern. Buzz flicker, buzz flicker. It's a hypnotic, unnerving rhythm, like a faulty mechanical heartbeat. Each flicker plunges the hallway into a split second of near darkness, turning the familiar path into a series of disjointed, strobe-lit tableaus. In those brief flashes of darkness, your mind plays its tricks again. The water cooler against the wall seems to shift, to lean forward. The motivational poster, the one with the eagle soaring over a mountain, captioned "Success," seems to peel away from the wall, its corners curling like ancient parchment. These are just optical illusions, persistence of vision mixing with fatigue, and yet the feeling of being watched intensifies with every step. It's no longer a vague atmospheric dread. It's a focused, specific sensation, as if a pair of unseen eyes is following your every move from the deep shadows at the end of the hall. You resist the urge to look back. There's a primal rule, baked into our DNA from millennia of being prey. Never let the predator know you've seen it, even if the predator is just a sleep-deprived imagination. This feeling brings to mind the strange case of the Smurl family haunting in Pennsylvania during the 1970s and 80s. It was a highly publicized poltergeist case investigated by the famous demonologists Ed and Lorraine Warren. The family reported all the classic signs, strange noises, foul odors, physical apparitions, and a persistent, crushing feeling of being watched. One of the most unnerving aspects they described was how the activity would escalate whenever they acknowledged it. The unseen force seemed to feed on their fear and attention. It's a common theme in paranormal lore. What you give your energy to grows. So you focus on the elevator doors, a gleaming silver sanctuary at the end of this flickering nightmare. Don't look back, don't acknowledge the feeling, just keep walking. You try to distract yourself with trivia. You recall reading about the psychology of office design, specifically how the long, straight corridors in many older buildings can create a sense of unease. It's called the corridor effect, a term used in architecture to describe how these spaces can feel endless and intimidating, especially when empty. They create a natural focal point at the far end, drawing the eye and making any object or person there seem more significant, more imposing. Your building is a masterclass in the corridor effect. Every hallway is a perfectly straight, unnervingly long runway to somewhere else. Right now, your runway ends at those open elevator doors. You try a joke to calm your nerves. What do you call a ghost who's good at PowerPoint? A scare point presenter. It's terrible. So terrible it almost works, breaking the tension with its sheer groan-inducing lameness. That's your third joke. You're a regular comedian tonight. Maybe your next career could be haunting the open mic circuit. You're only about 20 feet from the elevator now. The flickering seems to be getting worse, the periods of darkness lasting just a fraction of a second longer. Buzz flicker, in one of those elongated blinks of darkness, you hear it, a soft, wet, shuffling sound. From behind you, it's gone as soon as the lights snap back on. You freeze mid-stride, your heart hammering against your ribs like a trapped bird. You strain your ears, listening to the electric hum, the distant city traffic, the thumping of your own pulse. Nothing. It was nothing. It was the scuff of your own shoe, amplified and distorted by the weird acoustics in your overactive imagination. Of course it was. What else could it be? There's an obscure urban legend, mostly told by utility workers and late-night janitors, about something they call echo walkers. These entities are said to inhabit the empty, quiet places of a city at night. Subway tunnels, abandoned warehouses, and vacant office buildings. They don't have a physical form. Instead, they mimic the last sounds they heard. A footstep, a cough, a closing door. The legend says that if you're alone and you hear a perfect echo of your own sound when there shouldn't be one, you need to leave immediately and not look back. Because the echo walker is trying to build itself a body out of your sound, and once it has your rhythm, it can take your place. You tell yourself it's just a story, a modern folktale for the concrete jungle, but you can't shake the memory of that sound. The soft, wet, shuffling sound. It didn't sound like your shoes at all. You pick up your pace, covering the last few feet to the elevator in a brisk walk that's just shy of a full-blown run. You don't look back. You keep your eyes fixed on the illuminated interior of the elevator car. It's clean, sterile, and blessedly normal. The walls are brushed steel, the floors polished marble, and the light from the ceiling panel is a steady, reassuring white. It feels like stepping from a stormy sea onto a stable, solid shore. You step inside, the sudden change in atmosphere making you feel lightheaded. As you turn to face the doors, you catch a glimpse of the hallway you just left. It's empty, the lights are still flickering, and the motivational poster of the eagle is definitely, unmistakably peeling at the corner. The doors slide shut with a soft, final thud, sealing you inside. For a moment, you feel an overwhelming sense of relief. You're safe, you're on your way home. The feeling lasts for approximately 3 seconds. Inside the elevator, the world shrinks to the size of this small steel box. The silence is different in here. It's a muffled, insulated quiet, cutting you off from the groans and whispers of the building. The only sound is the low, almost subliminal hum of the machinery around you. The air is cool and smells faintly of lemon-scented cleaning fluid, a scent you've always associated with manufactured cleanliness and the illusion of safety. You look up at the panel of buttons. They are all dark, except for the one for the lobby, which glows with a soft, inviting light. You don't remember pressing it. Maybe it's the default setting after a certain hour, a thoughtful, automated feature designed to get the last weary soul home as quickly as possible, or maybe the elevator is just as eager for you to leave as you are. You shift your weight, your reflection moving with you in the polished steel doors. You look tired, more than tired. You look like a stranger. The harsh, direct light from the ceiling panel carves new lines into your face, deepens the shadows under your eyes. You look like one of those haunting portraits of Depression-era farmers, except your dust bowl is a cubicle farm and your blighted crop is a series of quarterly reports. You press the door close button out of habit, even though the doors are already sealed. It's a nervous tick, a need to do something, to feel in control. The button does nothing. Of course, the doors are already closed. Your gaze drifts to the emergency call button, housed behind its own little plastic cover. It's a comforting presence, a small red promise of connection to the outside world. It reminds you of the famous Kitty Genovese case from 1964, a story that became a symbol of urban apathy. The initial reports claimed that 38 witnesses saw or heard the attack but did nothing, a detail which has since been heavily disputed. Historians still argue whether the incident was a true case of the bystander effect on a massive scale, or if it was a product of journalistic exaggeration. The story, true or not, left a permanent mark on the public consciousness, leading to the development of things like the 911 emergency system. That little red button in the elevator is a direct descendant of that fear, the fear of being in trouble, in plain sight, and having no one answer your call. You hope you won't meet it. The elevator gives a gentle lurch, and the low hum intensifies as it begins its descent. The numbers above the door light up, 27. Then, a moment later, 26. The movement is smooth, silent. You watch the numbers change, a tiny, reassuring countdown to freedom. 25. You let out a breath you didn't realize you were holding. All that anxiety in the hallway, the flickering lights, the strange noises, it was just late-night paranoia. Your brain, starved of sleep and hopped up on stale coffee, had decided to write its own little horror movie. But it's over now. The credits are rolling. You'll be in the lobby in a minute, out in the cool night air and on your way home. You lean against the cool steel wall, closing your eyes for just a second. The gentle downward motion is almost hypnotic, a mechanical lullaby. It's in this moment of brief, relaxed vulnerability that you remember a strange, obscure piece of ghost lore your grandmother once told you. She was full of them, a walking encyclopedia of bizarre superstitions. She said you should never close your eyes in an elevator. She claimed that elevators, by their very nature, are in-between places, not truly a part of any floor, but a space that travels through the layers of a building. Closing your eyes in this liminal space, she insisted, was like opening a door for spirits. It showed them you were willing to see what they see, to enter their world of darkness, if only for a moment. It's nonsense, of course, the charming, spooky ramblings of an old woman. But you open your eyes anyway. The number above the door now reads 19. Everything is fine. It's smooth, steady descent. You allow yourself a small, triumphant smile. See, no vengeful work spirits, no echo walkers, no hungry buildings. Just you, a tired employee in a perfectly normal, slightly glitchy elevator. You almost laugh at how worked up you got. You're going to get home, have a glass of water, and sleep for 10 solid hours. You'll wake up tomorrow, and this whole experience will feel like a strange, half-forgotten dream. You'll probably even make a joke about it to Brenda from accounting, and she'll smile politely while wondering if you're having a breakdown. The thought is so normal, so wonderfully mundane, that it fills you with a profound sense of relief. The worst is over. Then, the elevator stops. It's not a violent stop. There's no screech of grinding metal or sudden, stomach-lurching drop. It's a gentle cessation of movement, a soft, almost polite halt. The low hum of the motor fades away into that same insulated, muffled silence from before. You look up at the number indicator. It's frozen. A glowing digital 17. You haven't reached the lobby. You're not even close. You are suspended, motionless, in a small steel box, 17 floors above the ground. You wait. A minute passes. Then 2. The silence stretches, pulling taut. Nothing happens. The car doesn't move. No announcement plays over the speaker. The glowing lang on the button panel seems to be mocking you now, a promise unfulfilled. The relief you felt just moments ago evaporates, replaced by a cold, familiar dread. This isn't a glitch, this is something else. The doors, which were your sanctuary just a few minutes ago, now feel like the sealed entrance to a tomb. The silence that follows the gentle stop is a living thing. It presses in on you, thick and heavy like velvet. Your first instinct is pure, unadulterated annoyance. Of all the nights for the elevator to break down, it had to be this one. You can already picture the paperwork, the incident report you'll have to file. At approximately 12:47 a.m. You'll write, elevator car 3 ceased operation, causing significant emotional distress and a delay in my ability to go home and question all my life choices. It's a grimly funny thought, your brain's defense mechanism kicking in, trying to frame the situation in the bland corporate language it knows so well. But the humor is thin, a flimsy shield against the cold reality of your situation. You are trapped. You press the Leo button again. You press it firmly, with intention, as if the force of your will can restart the machinery. The button, already lit, does nothing. It just stares back at you, impassive. You try the door open button, nothing. You press it again and again, a frantic, percussive rhythm against the plastic. Still nothing. You take a deep breath, trying to stay calm. Panic is not your friend right now. Panic makes you sloppy. You look at the panel, at the grid of floors. You press the button for 16, nothing. 18, nothing. You press every single button on the panel, from 2 to 27, one by one. None of them light up. None of them elicit any response. The elevator is a dead thing, a metal casket suspended in the building's throat. It's a strange thing, the modern elevator. We step into them every day without a second thought, placing our faith in a complex system of cables, counterweights, and brakes. The invention of the safety elevator by Elisha Otis in 1853, who dramatically demonstrated it by cutting the hoist rope of a platform he was standing on, is what made skyscrapers possible. Without that fundamental trust in the machine not to plummet, our cities would look vastly different. But trust is a fragile thing, and right now your trust in this particular machine is plummeting faster than the car ever could. You are acutely aware of the sheer drop below you, the 17 floors of empty space separating you from the solid ground of the lobby. Oh, lobby, your eyes are drawn back to the red emergency button. It's time. You flip up the clear plastic cover. It makes a small, unsatisfying click. You press the button. For a second, nothing happens. Then, a harsh, gratingly loud alarm bell begins to ring. Burr, earn, N-N-E-G-G-G. The sound is shocking in the profound silence. A violent assault on your ears. It's a sound designed to command attention, to signal distress. It rings and rings, the vibrations seeming to travel from the floor up through the soles of your shoes. Surely someone will hear that. The security guard in the lobby, maybe. He's usually half asleep in front of his bank of monitors, but a noise like this should be enough to rouse him. But as the bell continues its relentless clamor, a new, more chilling thought occurs to you. What if no one is listening? What if the system is designed to call an external service? And what if, at this hour, that call just goes to an automated answering machine? Thank you for calling building services. Our office hours are 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. If this is an emergency, please hang up and, well, good luck, I guess. You can't help but chuckle at the absurdity. That's the third joke for this section, you realize. Your gallows humor is really hitting its stride. You might be trapped, but at least you're amusing yourself. After what feels like an eternity, you press the button again. The alarm cuts off abruptly, plunging you back into the suffocating silence. The ringing continues in your ears, a phantom echo. There's no voice over the intercom, no crackle of a speaker coming to life, just nothing. The call was not answered. But worse, the button isn't connected to anything at all. It's just there for show, a placebo to make the building's tenants feel safe. There's an obscure architectural superstition, almost a conspiracy theory, known as orphan systems. The idea is that in large, complex construction projects, entire subsystems, a few lights on one floor, a single HVAC vent, an elevator's emergency phone, can sometimes be wired incorrectly or not connected to the main grid at all. They exist, they have buttons and switches, but they are utterly non-functional, isolated islands in the building's circuitry. You are now seriously considering the possibility that you are trapped in an orphan elevator. You decide to try your phone. You pull it from your pocket. Its familiar glow, a small comfort in the sterile steel box. You have 2 bars of service. Not great, but it should be enough. Your hands feel clumsy, your fingers slick with a sudden cold sweat as you dial emergency services. You lift the phone to your ear and listen. There's no dial tone, just a faint, fuzzy static. You look at the screen. The 2 bars are gone. It now reads, no service. How is that possible? You had service a second ago. It's as if the elevator itself is a Faraday cage, a box designed to block electromagnetic signals, or as if something is actively jamming the signal. You try to pry the doors open. You wedge your fingers into the thin crack where the 2 doors meet and pull. The steel is cold, unyielding. It doesn't budge, not even a millimeter. You are sealed in. The annoyance from before has now curdled into a thick, cold dread that settles in the pit of your stomach. You are cut off. The alarm doesn't work. The phone doesn't work. You are alone, suspended between floors, in a silent metal box, in an empty building, in the middle of the night. And for the first time, you get the distinct, chilling feeling that the elevator didn't just stop. It was stopped. The realization that you are not just stuck, but potentially trapped by something with intent, changes the very air in the elevator. It becomes thin, sharp. Every breath is a conscious effort. You slide down the cool steel wall until you're sitting on the polished marble floor. It feels ridiculously formal, sitting on the floor in your work clothes. But it's a small act of surrender, an admission that you are no longer in control of this situation. You pull your knees to your chest, making yourself a smaller target, a primal instinct taking over. A target for what? You don't know. And that, of course, is the worst part. The unknown is a canvas, and your fear is a very creative painter. You try to think logically, to work the problem. What are the possibilities? A catastrophic mechanical failure, a building-wide power outage, If there were a power outage, the emergency lights would be on, and they aren't. The car is still fully lit. If it were a simple mechanical failure, the emergency call button should have worked. It's designed to run on a separate battery-backed system. Every logical explanation you can come up with has a hole in it, a piece that doesn't fit. You are left with the illogical, the impossible. You think about stories of haunted elevators. They are a staple of urban legends around the world. One of the most famous is the case of Elisa Lam, the young woman found in a water tank on the roof of the Cecil Hotel in Los Angeles in 2013. The unsettling security footage of her last known moments took place in an elevator. In the video, she appears to be hiding from someone, pressing multiple buttons and gesturing to an unseen presence in the hallway. The elevator doors refused to close for an unnervingly long time. Criminologists and paranormal investigators still debate what exactly happened in that elevator. Was she having a psychotic episode? Was she being pursued by someone who was cleverly staying out of the camera's view? Or did she encounter something else entirely in that notoriously haunted hotel? Watching that footage feels like watching a ghost story unfold in real time. You now feel an unwelcome kinship with her, another soul trapped in a misbehaving metal box. You decide to try knocking. Maybe someone, by some miracle, is on the 17th floor, or the 18th. You stand up and knock on the steel doors. A polite, rhythmic knock. Knock, knock, knock. The sound is dull, muted. It doesn't feel like it would carry very far. Hello, you call out. Your voice sounds small, pathetic. Is anyone out there? I'm stuck in the elevator. The only answer is the echo of your own voice, swallowed by the insulated silence. You try again, louder this time. You pound on the door with the heel of your hand. The blows create a deep, booming sound, a frantic, desperate drumbeat. Hello, help, I'm trapped in here. You shout until your throat is raw, and then you stop, listening, your breath held tight in your chest. Nothing, not a voice, not a footstep, not a single sign that you've been heard. It's like shouting into a vacuum. You feel a surge of despair so sharp and sudden it almost takes your breath away. The utter futility of your situation is crashing down on you. You are a ghost in the machine, your voice unable to penetrate the veil between your world and the world outside. The corporate motivational posters about perseverance and positive thinking seem like a cruel joke now. You can't hang in there when you're literally hanging in a broken elevator. Your internal monologue is getting really cynical. It's probably a coping mechanism, a very, very bleak coping mechanism. You slide back down to the floor, defeated. You sit in silence for what feels like hours, though your phone's clock, the one feature that still works, tells you it's only been 15 minutes. Time is warping, stretching, and compressing. You find your eyes drawn to the small gap between the doors. It's maybe a quarter of an inch wide. Not enough to see much, but enough to know that there is a world outside this box. There's an obscure bit of folklore, a variation of a sea shanty that sailors would tell about being becalmed at sea. They called it the doldrums whistle. The legend says that if you were trapped in the windless doldrums for too long, the silence would drive you mad. You would start to hear a faint, high-pitched whistling that wasn't there. It was the sound of your own soul trying to escape your body. If you whistled back, you would be lost forever, your spirit joining the chorus of the windless damned. You're not hearing a whistle, but you are feeling that same sense of oppressive, sanity-eroding silence. You crawl over to the doors, your knees cold on the marble. You press your eye to the crack, trying to peer into the hallway of the 17th floor. Your vision is limited to a narrow, vertical slice of the world. You can see the opposite wall, a bland, beige surface. You can see a small section of the gray-blue carpet, and you can see that the lights are off. The hallway is completely dark, illuminated only by the light spilling from your own elevator car through this tiny crack. It's just as you would expect. The floor is empty. The power-saving sensors have turned off the lights. Everything is normal, and then you see it. A flicker of movement at the very bottom of your range of vision. Something small, dark, and fast. A mouse. A piece of paper stirred by a draft from a vent. You press your eye closer, straining to see. But it's gone. You watch the sliver of dark hallway for a long time, until your eye starts to water. You see nothing else. But you can't shake the feeling that whatever it was, it saw you looking. The sight of that fleeting movement, that little flicker of black in the dark hallway, has rewired your brain. You're no longer just trapped. You're trapped and under observation. You pull back from the door, a cold knot tightening in your stomach. Your mind races, trying to identify what you saw. It was too quick, too small. But the impression it left was not that of a rodent or a scrap of trash. It was intentional. It moved with a purpose. You sit with your back against the far wall, the one opposite the doors, trying to put as much distance as possible between you and the crack. You feel exposed, like a bug under a microscope. Then you hear a sound. It's faint at first, so faint you think you're imagining it. A soft, dry, scratching noise. Scrape, scrape, scrape. It's coming from outside the elevator, from the other side of the doors. It's a rhythmic, deliberate sound, like a fingernail being dragged slowly across a metal surface. Your blood runs cold. Every muscle in your body tenses. You hold your breath, straining to hear. Scrape, scrape, scrape. It's still there. It's real. It's happening. The sound is horrifying for its intimacy. It's not loud or aggressive. It's quiet, patient, and impossibly close. It sounds like it's happening right on the other side of the thin steel that separates you from the hallway. You picture a long, crooked finger, its nail yellowed and sharp, tracing patterns on the outer doors, testing the surface, searching for a way in. The image is so vivid you have to squeeze your eyes shut. This is a nightmare. You've fallen asleep on the floor, and this is all just a terrible, stress-induced dream. You pinch the skin on the back of your hand, hard. The sharp sting of pain is immediate, undeniable. You are awake. This is real. This situation taps into a deep, primal fear, the fear of a malevolent presence just outside a barrier. It's the same fear that fuels stories about creatures scratching at the tent fabric on a camping trip or the monster under the bed. It's the terror of the unseen and the just out of reach. In 19th century Russia, there was a widespread belief in a household spirit called the domovoi. He was a protector of the home, but if a family angered him, he would turn malicious, hiding objects, making strange noises, and sometimes he would scratch at the bedroom doors of sleeping family members through the night. It was considered a terrible omen, a warning that he had withdrawn his protection and something far worse was now free to enter. You can't help but wonder what exactly is scratching at your door and what it's warning you about. The scratching stops. The sudden silence is somehow even more terrifying than the noise was. You wait, every nerve-ending screaming, for what comes next. What comes next is a soft thump against the door, as if something has just leaned its full weight against it. You can almost feel the pressure, the slight vibration through the floor. It's testing the doors, you realize. Seeing if they'll give. You scramble backwards, crab walking until your back hits the corner of the elevator car, trying to make yourself as small as possible. You are cornered. You are prey. The carefully constructed facade of 21st century safety, the steel box, the emergency systems, the civilized world has been stripped away, leaving you with a terror as old as humanity itself. You remember reading about a psychological experiment, the details of which are now fuzzy in your panicked mind, where subjects were placed in a room and told there was a snake in a box in the corner. Even though they knew the snake was contained, their physiological responses, heart rate, galvanic skin response, were identical to those of someone in the actual presence of a threat. The mere knowledge of the predator's proximity was enough to trigger a full-blown fight-or-flight response. Your body is now a textbook example of this. Your heart is a frantic drum solo, your palms are slick with sweat, and your breath is coming in short, shallow gasps. You have no fight and no flight. You only have freeze. You think of another joke, a desperate, insane attempt to wrestle back some semblance of control. Why did the ghost get kicked out of the office party? He had no body to go with. It's a terrible, terrible joke, and it doesn't even make you smile this time. The humor has run dry, replaced by a pure, undiluted fear. The entity outside your door, whatever it is not a joke. It's patient, it's curious, and it knows you're in here. A new sound begins. It's a low, wet, gurgling sound, like liquid being poured slowly down a clogged drain. And it's coming from the speaker on the elevator's control panel. The speaker that was dead silent when you pressed the emergency button. The speaker that should not be making any noise at all. The gurgling is interspersed with a soft, airy whisper. You can't make out words. It's more like the sound of breath being passed over vocal cords that haven't been used in a very, very long time. It's the sound of something trying to speak. And as you listen to that wet, whispering gurgle, you realize two things at once. The scratching and the thumping weren't coming from the 17th floor. They were coming from the elevator shaft itself, and the thing that was making those noises is now trying to talk to you through the intercom. The whispering gurgle from the speaker fills the small space, a grotesque parody of communication. It's a sound that seems to bypass your ears and vibrate deep inside your skull. You stare at the small, circular grill of the intercom, now a source of unimaginable horror. The sounds are wet, organic, and utterly wrong for a piece of electronic equipment. It's as if the wires have become veins, the speaker a throat, the thing in the shaft, the thing that was scratching at your door, has found a voice. It's a voice made of static and phlegm, a dead language bubbling up from some forgotten place. You press yourself deeper into the corner of the car, trying to merge with the steel walls. You wish you could become invisible, intangible. The whispers continue, rising and falling in a cadence that might be speech, but it's a language you don't know and never, ever want to learn. Amidst the gurgling, you start to hear something else. A single, repeating sound like a broken record. A soft, sibilant, it sounds like your name. It sounds exactly like the way your mother used to whisper your name to wake you gently from a bad dream. The memory, once a comfort, is now tainted, twisted into a new and terrifying shape. The thing is learning. It's rummaging through your head, pulling out sounds it thinks will get your attention. Your scientific, rational mind, in a last-ditch effort to assert itself, tries to classify what you're hearing. Is it auditory pareidolia, the tendency for the brain to interpret random sounds as familiar patterns, like hearing voices in the static of a radio? Paranormal researchers often refer to this when analyzing electronic voice phenomena, or EVP. The scholarly debate on whether EVPs are genuine spirit communications or simply misinterpretations of random noise is one of the longest-running arguments in the field. But what you're hearing now doesn't feel random. It feels targeted. It feels personal. The speaker crackles, and the whisper of your name comes again, clearer this time, followed by a wet, choking laugh. A wave of nausea washes over you. You have to get out. The imperative is so strong it overrides your fear-induced paralysis. You don't care what's on the 17th floor anymore. Nothing out there can be worse than being in here with this voice. You crawl back towards the doors, your movements jerky and uncoordinated. You need to see out. You need to know what's there. You press your eye back to the thin vertical crack between the doors. You see the same slice of the world as before. The beige wall, the gray-blue carpet. The hallway is still dark, save for the light leaking from your car. You scan the area, your eye darting back and forth. Nothing. No movement. No sign of anything. Maybe it's not on the 17th floor. Maybe it's on top of the elevator car, or below it. The scratching could have come from anywhere in the shaft. As your eye adjusts to the gloom, you begin to notice details you missed before. There's a water stain on the ceiling in the hallway, shaped vaguely like a screaming face. A single white piece of paper lies on the floor, about 10 feet away. It looks like a standard memo. Standard, except for the single, dark red, hand-shaped smear across the middle of it. Your blood turns to ice. You want to pull away, to stop looking, but you can't. You are mesmerized by the quiet horror of that simple, terrible image. And then, you see it. The floor is wrong. Not the 17th floor. Your office building has a consistent design scheme on every level. The carpets are all the same shade of gray-blue. The walls are all the same corporate beige. But the carpet you're looking at now, it's different. The pattern is subtly wrong. The weave is tighter. And the wall, the beige wall, it's not drywall. It's old, yellowed plaster with a network of fine cracks running through it like a spider web. This is not a floor in your building. It can't be. There is an obscure corner of supernatural folklore dedicated to the concept of wrong places or glitches in reality. EDA. These are tales of people who take a wrong turn and end up on a street that doesn't exist, or open a door in their own home to find a room they've never seen before. The stories often end with the person either escaping back to reality, forever changed, or disappearing completely, swallowed by the impossible geography. These places are said to be pockets of another dimension, or echoes of the past, that briefly and terrifyingly intersect with our own world. You are now staring into one such place. The elevator hasn't just stopped between floors. It has stopped between realities. As you stare, dumbfounded, into this impossible hallway, a door at the far end, deep in the shadows, begins to creak open. It opens slowly, just a few inches. All you can see in the gap is a profound, absolute blackness, a darkness that seems to drink the light, and from that sliver of impenetrable dark, you hear a sound. a child's quiet weeping. The sound is heartbreakingly sad, and it drifts down the impossible hallway and seeps through the crack in the elevator doors, filling your small steel prison with a sorrow so ancient and so deep it feels like it could drown you. The gurgling voice from the intercom has fallen silent, as if it too is listening to the crying child. You pull back from the door, your mind reeling, unable to process what you've just seen and heard. A floor that shouldn't exist, a bloody handprint, a weeping child behind a dark door. The rules of the world have been broken, and you are trapped in the wreckage. The sound of the child's weeping fades as the unseen door in the impossible hallway slowly swings shut. You are left in the elevator with only the sound of your own ragged breathing. Your mind is a whirlwind of fractured thoughts, a wrong floor, a bloody handprint, a crying child. It's too much. The logical framework of your universe has been shattered, and you have nothing to replace it with except a primal, gibbering terror. You retreat back to the far corner of the elevator, curling into a fetal position on the cold marble floor. You close your eyes tightly, a child's defense against the monsters in the dark. If you can't see it, maybe it can't see you. For a long time, nothing happens. The silence returns, heavier and more menacing than before. You've had a glimpse of what's outside, and now the sealed, sterile box of the elevator feels less like a prison and more like a flimsy shelter from a storm of pure insanity. At least in here, the rules, for the most part, still apply. Gravity still works. Steel is still solid. Out there, in that other place, it seems anything is possible. Suddenly, with a violent lurch that throws you against the wall, the elevator shudders back to life. The humming of the machinery returns, louder and more strained than before. But you are not going down. The car begins to ascend slowly, jerkily, as if it's being dragged upwards by a rusty chain. The number above the door, which had been frozen on 17, flickers and changes. 18, then 19. You're going up. Why are you going up? You didn't press any buttons. The panel is still dark and unresponsive. The elevator is moving on its own. It has an agenda, and you are just along for the ride. This is a recurring motif in paranormal accounts, the haunted journey. People report their cars driving themselves down forgotten roads or finding themselves on trains and buses with ghostly passengers headed for an unknown destination. One well-known example is the legend of the St. Louis ghost train, which is said to run on a set of phantom tracks, its whistle heard by witnesses on the anniversary of a real, tragic train wreck. The victims of these journeys are not in control. They are merely passengers on a tour of the supernatural, their destination chosen for them by an unseen force. You are now on one of those tours. Your tour guide, it seems, is a malevolent, century-old office building. You wonder if there will be snacks. Probably not. The elevator continues its slow, grinding ascent. 20, 21. It feels wrong. The movements are clumsy. The sounds are unhealthy. You hear scraping noises from the shaft, the groan of stressed metal. This doesn't feel like the smooth, efficient machine you rode just a short while ago. It feels like an ancient, resurrected corpse of an elevator. Its joints stiff, its movements pained. At floor 22, it shudders to a halt. A soft ding, a sound so normal it's obscene in this context, echoes through the car, and the doors slide open. You look out, not at the familiar office space of the 22nd floor, but at something else. It's another place that is both right and deeply, fundamentally wrong. It looks like your office, but as it might have been 50 or 60 years ago, the cubicles are gone, replaced by rows of heavy dark wood desks with manual typewriters on them. The lighting is dim, cast from green-shaded bankers' lamps. The air is thick with the smell of old paper, stale cigar smoke, and something else. Something metallic and vaguely sweet, like old pennies. Or blood. There are no people. But the scene is not static. Papers are riffling on a desk as if stirred by a breeze, though you feel no draft. A typewriter key is being pressed down, over and over, its metal arm rising and falling with a steady, rhythmic clack, 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 clack. It's typing the same letter, again and again. You squint, trying to see which one. It's the letter S. Just a long, endless line of S's. Sis. There's an obscure occult theory known as stone tape theory. It's a fringe idea, but a persistent one. It posits that inanimate materials, particularly stone and wood, can absorb and record the energy of traumatic or highly emotional events, which can then be replayed under certain conditions. Researchers who subscribe to this theory disagree on the mechanism. Is it a psychic impression, a magnetic recording, an unknown form of energy? Whatever the cause, what you're looking at feels like a stone tape playback, a moment from the building's past replaying itself for an audience of one. A ghost of a memory. The elevator doors slide shut, cutting off the vision of the phantom office. The car lurches upwards again. You are not being given a choice. You are being shown things. The elevator is a theater, and the show is the secret haunted history of this building. You find yourself morbidly curious about what's next. It's a strange, detached feeling, the kind of intellectual curiosity that can sometimes rise above even the most profound terror. At least it's a distraction from the sheer mind-numbing fear. You think about the building's history. You know it was built on the site of an older, grander hotel that burned down in the 1920s. A lot of people died in that fire. You have a sinking feeling you're about to meet some of them. You also remember that they built this new tower in the late 70s, an era known for questionable fashion and, apparently, really angry ghosts. That's a joke, but it feels like you're scraping the bottom of the barrel now. This is less gallows humor and more a quiet, desperate whimper. The elevator stops again. Floor 25, ding, the doors open. The scene on the 25th floor is different. It's not a vision of the past, it's the present. It's your office, or at least a version of it. The layout is correct, the desks are the same, the carpet is the right shade of soul-crushing gray-blue. But it's wrong. The air is freezing cold, a deep, unnatural chill that billows into the elevator car, raising goosebumps on your arms. Every surface is coated in a thin layer of frost, not dust, but actual shimmering ice crystals. Your breath mists in front of your face. It looks like the entire floor was flash frozen in the middle of a normal business day. And then there is the sound. It's the sound of weeping, not one person, but dozens. It's a chorus of quiet, heartbroken sobs coming from everywhere and nowhere at once. The sound seems to emanate from the very walls, from the frozen computer monitors, from the frost-covered chairs. It's a symphony of utter despair, the collected grief of 100 invisible souls. You can distinguish different voices within the mix. The high, thin wail of a woman, the low, guttural sob of a man, the hiccuping cry of a child. The same child you realize with a sickening lurch that you heard from behind the door in the impossible hallway. You stand at the threshold of the open elevator, frozen in place, not by the cold, but by the overwhelming wave of sorrow that washes over you. It's more than just a sound. It's an emotion so powerful it feels like a physical force. It presses in on you, seeping into your bones, filling your own heart with a profound, unearned grief. You feel a sudden, insane urge to step out into the frozen office and join the weeping, to add your own tears to the chorus of the unseen. This phenomenon, the experience of overwhelming, location-based emotion, is well documented in paranormal literature. It's often called a psychic imprint or emotional residue. Famous haunted locations like the Gettysburg battlefield are notorious for it. Visitors report being suddenly overcome with feelings of terror, confusion, or profound sadness for no apparent reason. Parapsychologists still debate whether these experiences are the result of genuine psychic phenomena, the power of suggestion, or subtle environmental factors influencing a person's mood. Right now, you don't care about the debate. You are feeling the undiluted, concentrated misery of this place, and it is threatening to swallow you whole. As your eyes scan the frozen tableau, you notice details. On Brenda's desk, her collection of cat mugs is arranged in a perfect circle. In the center is a single, dead blackbird. On David's desk, his prized sports helmets are all cracked down the middle, a fine web of fractures in the plastic. A single word is traced in the frost on the glass wall of the main conference room. He can't quite make it out from this distance. You take a hesitant step forward, leaning out of the elevator just enough to see. The word is liar. The weeping intensifies, the chorus of voices rising in volume, their sorrow curdling into something else, anger. The quiet sobs become enraged wails. The cold in the room seems to deepen, and the frost on the surfaces begins to creep and grow, tendrils of ice crawling up the legs of the desks and across the glass partitions like frozen ivy. This is not just a replay of past sadness. This is a living, breathing rage. You stumble back into the elevator just as the doors begin to slide shut. As the gap narrows, you see one of the frosted computer monitors flicker to life. For a split second, a face appears on the screen. It is pale, gaunt, its eyes black, empty sockets, its mouth open in a silent, agonized scream. Then the doors close, and you are plunged back into the relative safety of your steel box. You are shaking uncontrollably now, your teeth chattering from a combination of cold and terror. What was that? Who were they? Why are they so angry? Your mind, desperate for an anchor, latches onto an old, obscure piece of ghost lore from Eastern Europe about a spirit known as the Plakavica, or the Weeper. It was said to be the ghost of a mother who had lost her child, and it would haunt a place, weeping eternally. According to the legend, hearing its cries would infect the listener with its sorrow, and if you listened for too long, your own heart would break from the grief. You wonder how many weeping ghosts are on that floor, and what terrible event could have created such a concentration of pain. You wrap your arms around yourself, trying to stop shaking. The elevator is moving again, upwards, always upwards. You feel like a diver ascending from the crushing depths, except with each new level, the pressure just gets worse. You try to tell yourself a joke, a pathetic attempt to inject some levity into the absolute horror show your life has become. What's a ghost's favorite dessert? I scream. It falls completely flat. There is no humor left in you. Only a cold, hollow space where it used to be. You look at the number indicator. It stops at 26, the floor just below yours. Ding, the doors slide open, and you brace yourself for whatever new nightmare awaits. The 26th floor is mercifully normal, at first glance anyway. The lights are off, as they should be. The air is a neutral temperature. There is no frost, no sound of weeping, no phantom typewriters. There is only silence and darkness. The only light comes from your elevator and the faint ambient glow of the city filtering through the massive plate glass windows at the far end of the office. You can see the lights of other buildings, the moving headlights of distant cars. The sight of the outside world, of a living, breathing city, is so painfully normal that it makes your heart ache. It feels a million miles away. You stay in the elevator, your hand braced on the door close button, though you know it's useless. You are not getting out here. You are just a spectator. The doors remain open, patient. The elevator is waiting for you to see something. You scan the darkened office space, your eyes slowly adjusting. It's the same open-plan layout as your own floor, a sea of dark, silent cubicles, a ghost town of ergonomic chairs and dormant computer monitors. Everything seems to be in its proper place. There is nothing to see. So why are you here? Then you see him. At the far end of the office, silhouetted against the large windows and the city lights beyond, is a figure. It's a man, or at least it's shaped like a man. He is preternaturally tall and unnervingly thin, his limbs long and spidery. He is standing perfectly still, his back to you, looking out at the city. He is wearing a dark, old-fashioned suit and, strangely, a hat. A wide-brimmed fedora, like something out of a 1940s detective movie. The sight of him doesn't startle you as much as it drains all the warmth from your body. There is an aura of profound coldness and malevolence coming from him. A silent, psychic scream that crosses the entire length of the office and washes over you. This is the Hat Man, a figure from modern folklore and a surprisingly common sight in accounts of shadow people phenomena. All over the world, people report seeing the same entity, a tall shadow figure, featureless except for his outline, wearing an old-fashioned hat. He is almost always seen in peripheral vision or in moments of sleep paralysis. He never speaks or interacts, he just watches. Researchers disagree on what he represents. Is he a shared archetype from the human subconscious, a modern boogeyman? Or is he a genuine, singular entity who is somehow able to manifest in multiple places at once? Whatever he is, you are no longer seeing him in your peripheral vision. You are looking right at him, and he is terrifying. You can't take your eyes off him. You're frozen, mesmerized by his still, silent form. You feel like a mouse that has locked eyes with a cobra. Your every instinct is telling you to run, to hide, to scream, but you can do nothing but stare. He hasn't moved. He hasn't acknowledged you. But you know with a certainty that chills you to the marrow of your bones that he knows you are here. He was waiting for you. This entire tour, this entire nightmare elevator ride has been leading to this. To him, there's an obscure superstition among theater actors, a bit of backstage lore that says you must never look a ghost directly in the eye if you see one in the theater. The belief is that direct eye contact creates a connection, a bond. It's an invitation. It tells the spirit that you can see it, and it gives it permission to interact with you, to follow you. You are not looking into his eyes. You can't see any of his features, only his silhouette. But you feel like you are doing just that. You are acknowledging him. You are inviting him in. As if responding to your thought, the figure slowly begins to turn. The movement is stiff, unnatural, like a marionette being controlled by an unseen puppeteer. He turns his head first, the brim of his hat hiding his face, then his shoulders, his torso, his legs. He turns his entire body to face you, a slow, deliberate 180-degree rotation. He is now facing the elevator. He is now facing you. And though you can't see a face, you can feel his gaze. It is a cold, dead, ancient weight. It presses down on you, crushing the air from your lungs. You feel like he is seeing not just you, but through you, into every dark corner of your mind, every secret fear, every quiet shame. He takes a step towards you, then another. He moves without making a sound, gliding over the carpet like a wisp of smoke. He's coming for you. The distance between you is about 100 feet, but it feels like nothing. He is closing the distance with an unhurried, terrifying grace. You fumble at the elevator panel, slapping at the door close button, your fingers numb and useless. Close, 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 close. You whisper, your voice a choked, pathetic thing. The doors, of course, do not respond. They remain wide open, an invitation. The tall, dark figure in the hat continues his silent, inexorable approach. He is halfway across the room now. You have nowhere to run. The tall man in the hat continues his glide across the dark office, a specter of impossible angles and silent menace. Each step he takes eats up the distance between you with an unnatural speed. He is a predator, and you are transfixed, a deer in the oncoming headlights of damnation. Your mind is screaming, a torrent of pure, undiluted panic, but your body is locked in place. You are a statue carved from fear. Your hand is still resting on the door close button, a monument to your own powerlessness. As he gets closer, you can see that he isn't a shadow so much as a void. He is a patch of night cut out in the shape of a man. The city lights behind him do not shine through him. They seem to bend around him, distorted as if by an immense gravitational pull. He absorbs the light. He absorbs the warmth. He absorbs all hope. You try to rationalize, to find a scientific explanation for what you are seeing. A hallucination, a trick of the light and shadow. There's a known medical condition called Charles Bonnet syndrome, where people with vision loss experience complex, vivid hallucinations. Maybe the stress and exhaustion have triggered a temporary psychological version of this. It's a comforting thought, but a flimsy one. The cold that radiates from him, the palpable sense of ancient, malevolent intelligence, these are not things your mind could simply invent. This is real. You remember an old, almost forgotten joke your grandfather used to tell. What's the difference between a taxidermist and a tax collector? The taxidermist only takes your skin. Right now, looking at the approaching figure, you feel like he wants to collect more than your taxes or your skin. He wants to collect your soul. It's a silly, desperate thought, another piece of mental flotsam in the storm of your terror. You've officially run out of good jokes. The well is dry. He is only 20 feet away now. 10. You can make out the texture of his suit. It's a heavy, coarse material, like old wool. You can see the faint crease in his trousers. These mundane details make him even more terrifying. He is not just an abstract shape, he's a thing that has form and substance and is about to be in your elevator. He raises a hand. His fingers are impossibly long, thin, like the legs of a spider. He reaches not for you, but for the edge of the elevator door. His touch is silent. He doesn't need to force the doors open. They are already open for him. It was a trap. The whole floor was a trap to get you to watch him, to invite him. Just as he is about to step over the threshold, the elevator gives a loud ding. The sound is so abrupt, so shockingly normal, that it breaks the spell. The figure pauses, his long fingers resting on the doorframe. The doors begin to slide shut. They move with the speed and efficiency they haven't shown all night. The figure does not try to stop them. He simply stands there watching as the gap between the doors narrows. For a split second, just before they seal completely, you see him tilt his head, a gesture of quiet curiosity. And in the utter blackness beneath the brim of his hat, you see two tiny red pinpricks of light ignite like distant dying stars. Then the doors close, plunging you into the familiar sterile light of the elevator car. You collapse against the wall, gasping for air, your body trembling with the aftershocks of the encounter. He's gone. You're safe. The doors are closed. But the feeling of relief is instantly replaced by a new, more intimate horror. You are not alone in the elevator. The cold is still here. A deep, penetrating chill that has nothing to do with the building's air conditioning, and you can feel a presence. It's the same oppressive, soul-crushing weight you felt from the figure in the hallway, but it is no longer at a distance. It is right here, in the car, with you. You slowly, hesitantly push yourself up, your eyes scanning the small empty space. The elevator is empty. There is no one here. But the feeling is undeniable. It's a prickling sensation on the back of your neck, the kind of intuitive certainty that tells you someone is standing directly behind you. You can almost feel the fabric of their clothes, the stillness of their body. You can smell a faint, dried, dusty odor, like old books or forgotten rooms. You don't turn around. You are too terrified to turn around, because you know with a certainty that defies all logic that if you turn around, you will see nothing. And that will be even more terrifying. There is a superstition found in various cultures about carrying a ghost with you. It's not about being possessed, but about a spirit latching on to your aura, becoming a silent passenger in your life. In Japanese folklore, these are sometimes called tsukimono, or possessing things. They are not always malevolent, but their presence is a constant drain on the host's life force and luck. You have picked up a passenger. The Hat Man did not need to step into the elevator. By seeing him, by acknowledging him, you gave him permission to join you. He is here now, an invisible stain on the air, a silent partner in your terror. A cold breath, smelling of dust and decay, tickles the back of your neck. You squeeze your eyes shut and begin to pray to a god you haven't spoken to in years. The elevator begins to descend. The descent is different this time. It's fast, smooth, terrifyingly normal. The numbers above the door tick down with relentless efficiency. 25, 24, 23. It feels like the elevator is back under its own control, its demonic tour concluded. But you know better. This is not a return to normalcy. This is the final act. The presence behind you is a crushing weight, a silent, suffocating blanket of dread. You don't dare to move, don't dare to breathe too deeply. You keep your eyes fixed on the changing numbers, the only thing in this small world that seems to make sense. With every floor you pass, the cold in the car deepens. It's a damp, cellar-like cold that seems to be radiating from the unseen thing behind you. You can feel it seeping into your clothes, into your skin, chilling you from the inside out. Your breath mists heavily in the air. You stare at your reflection in the polished steel doors. You look ghastly, your face is pale, your eyes wide and dark, your lips tinged with blue. You look like you've already been dead for a week. And in the reflection, behind you, there is nothing, just the empty back wall of the elevator. But you know it's not empty, you can feel it. The discrepancy between what your eyes see and what your other senses are screaming at you is creating a kind of psychic vertigo, making you feel dizzy and nauseous. This experience is reminiscent of the concept of the third man factor, a phenomenon where people in extreme distress, mountaineers, sailors, explorers, report feeling the presence of an unseen companion who offers comfort or guidance. The famous explorer Ernest Shackleton reported it during his harrowing trek across Antarctica. Psychologists and neurologists still argue about its origin. Is it a coping mechanism of a stressed brain, a guardian angel, or a hallucination triggered by physical hardship? But what you are experiencing is the inverse of that. The anti-third man. It is not a comforting presence. It is a presence of pure, psychic poison. It is not here to help you. It is here to watch you break. The elevator passes 4, 10, 9, 8. You are getting closer to the lobby, closer to escape. A tiny, fragile sliver of hope begins to flicker in your chest. Maybe, just maybe, if you can get out of this building, you can leave it behind. You can run out into the city night and never look back. Maybe it is tied to this place, to this elevator. The hope is a foolish, desperate thing, but it's all you have. At 4:05, the main light in the elevator ceiling begins to flicker. It's the same sickly, strobing flicker from the hallway on the 27th floor, a lifetime ago. Flicker, flicker. Dark. The light fights for a few seconds, buzzing erratically, and then, with a soft, final pop, it dies. You are plunged into absolute, suffocating darkness. The only light is the small red glow of the floor indicator. 4. The darkness changes everything. Your sense of space is gone. The elevator car feels both infinitesimally small and terrifyingly vast. The presence behind you now feels like it's everywhere. It's in every corner. It's pressing against you from all sides. Your hearing becomes painfully acute. You can hear the soft whisper of the car's ventilation, the frantic, rabbit-like thumping of your own heart, the rustle of your own clothes. And you can hear a new sound, a soft, dry, whispery sound, the sound of breathing. It is not your breathing. It is slow, deep, and ragged, a dry, dusty inhalation followed by a long, rattling exhalation, and it is right next to your ear. There is a specific, obscure phobia known as nyctohylophobia, which is the fear of dark wooded areas or forests at night. It's not just a fear of the dark, but a fear of what the darkness in a specific, contained environment might be hiding. You are experiencing a vertical, mechanical version of that. Elevator shaftophobia, the fear of what is in the dark with you in a small, sealed metal box. Even the desperate, bleak humor. There is only the darkness, the cold, and the sound of that terrible, dry breathing. The breathing stops. The silence that follows is a physical blow. You brace yourself, waiting for the touch, for the hand on your shoulder, for the culmination of this slow, agonizing torment. But there is no touch. Instead, you hear a voice. It's not the gurgling, wet voice from the intercom. This voice is dry, ancient, and it speaks from all around you at once, as if the very walls of the elevator have learned to talk. And it says one word. Mine. The word is not just a sound. You feel it. It's a brand on your soul, a declaration of ownership. The hope you felt just moments ago is extinguished, utterly and completely. You will not escape this. You will not get away. You may leave the building, but you will never be free of this thing. It has claimed you. The elevator comes to a gentle stop. The red indicator above the door glows with a single, beautiful, terrible letter, L lobby. A soft ding echoes in the darkness. You have arrived. The elevator doors slide open, and you are blinded by light. It's not the harsh, sterile light of the elevator, but the soft, warm, welcoming glow of the lobby. After the absolute darkness of the car, it's a physical shock. You raise a hand to shield your eyes, blinking, trying to adjust. As your vision clears, you take in the scene before you. It's the lobby. It's perfect. It's exactly as it should be. The marble floors are polished to a mirror shine. The large, comfortable armchairs are arranged in neat conversational groups. The ficus trees in their giant ceramic pots are green and healthy. Even the security desk is there, unmanned at this hour, a bank of monitors showing silent, grayscale images of empty hallways and stairwells. The air is clean, the temperature is comfortable. It's an oasis of pristine corporate normalcy. The oppressive cold and the feeling of being watched are gone. The presence that was in the elevator with you, it's not here. It feels like you've stepped through a doorway into another world, a sane world where things like shadow men and weeping ghosts don't exist. You stumble out of the dark elevator, your legs shaky and unreliable. You take a few hesitant steps onto the solid marble floor, half expecting it to dissolve into mist beneath your feet, but it holds. It's real. You turn and look back at the elevator. It's just a dark, open box. An ordinary elevator that had a serious malfunction. That's all. It was all in your head. The stress, the exhaustion, the late hour, it all conspired to create a waking nightmare. A vivid, terrifying hallucination. That has to be the explanation. The alternative is simply unthinkable. This feeling of profound unreality following a traumatic event is a well-known psychological phenomenon called derealization. It's a defense mechanism, the mind's way of distancing itself from an experience that is too overwhelming to process. Sufferers report feeling as if they are watching their life in a movie, or that the world around them is not real. Historians still argue whether historical figures who reported intense spiritual or demonic visions were genuinely experiencing supernatural events, or were suffering from stress-induced psychological conditions like this. Right now, you would gladly accept the diagnosis of temporary insanity over the alternative. You take a deep, shuddering breath, the clean air a balm to your frayed nerves. You've made it. You are out. All you have to do is walk across the lobby, push open the heavy glass doors, and step out into the night. Freedom is 50 feet away. You start walking, your pace quickening with every step. You feel a wild, bubbling sense of giddy relief. You want to laugh, to cry. You survived. You actually survived. As you walk, you notice how quiet it is. It's the same deep night silence as upstairs, but down here it feels different. It feels peaceful, serene, too serene. You stop, you listen. There are no city sounds, no distant sirens, no hum of traffic, no rumble of a late-night subway, nothing. The city you could see from the window on the 26th floor is completely, utterly silent. You look towards the massive floor-to-ceiling glass doors that lead outside. You can see the street. The street lights are on, casting pools of yellow light on the empty pavement. But there are no cars, no pedestrians, no movement at all. It's a perfect static image of a city street, a photograph. Your sense of relief begins to curdle back into dread. Something is wrong. You walk closer to the glass doors, your footsteps echoing unnervingly in the silent lobby. You press your hand against the glass. It's cold, and it's not vibrating. A building this size, in the heart of a major city, always has a subtle vibration, the thrum of the life around it. But there is nothing. It's as if the building has been surgically removed from the world. You look more closely at the scene outside. The street light on the corner is casting a perfect shadow from a newspaper box. The shadow is long, sharp, and it is not moving, not even trembling. The leaves on the small tree planted by the curb are perfectly still. There is no wind, there is no life. This is not a false hope, this is a false lobby. It's a stage set. It's another room in the haunted house, designed to look like an escape. It's the most cruel trick yet. There's an obscure theological concept, found in some Gnostic texts, of the false paradise. It's the idea that the world we perceive as real is actually a beautiful, intricate prison created by a lesser, malevolent deity to trap our souls and keep us from ascending to the true reality. This lobby, with its perfect, sterile beauty and its dead, silent world outside, feels like a miniature version of that. A comfortable, beautiful cage. You back away from the doors, your heart sinking like a stone. You are not out. You are just in a different, larger part of the trap. You turn around and look back across the lobby, and you see that you missed something. Standing behind the security desk where the night guard should be is a figure. It's the tall man in the hat. He is not a silhouette anymore. He is solid, real, standing under the bright, warm lights of the lobby. He is holding one of the security guard's walkie-talkies in his long, spider-like fingers, and he is smiling. You can see his face now. It is pale, gaunt, with no eyes, no nose, just a wide, impossibly wide smile, full of too many sharp, yellow teeth. He raises the walkie-talkie to his lipless mouth. A burst of static crackles through the silent lobby, and then you hear your own voice, small and terrified, coming from the speaker. It's a recording of you, from upstairs in the elevator, shouting for help. Hoilo, hoilo. The smiling man listens to the recording, tilts his head, and then begins to laugh. It is the sound of dry leaves skittering across a tombstone. The dry, rasping laughter of the hat man echoes through the false lobby, a sound that scrapes at the inside of your skull. He lowers the walkie-talkie, the recording of your own desperate voice cutting off, leaving his horrifying amusement to fill the silence. His smile seems to widen, a crescent moon of predatory delight in his blank, pale face. The carefully constructed reality of the lobby begins to fray at the edges. The warm lighting flickers, turning a sickly, jaundiced yellow. The healthy green leaves of the ficus trees curl and blacken, turning to ash before your eyes. The polished marble floor cracks, fine black lines spreading out from the corners of the room like a growing web. The beautiful prison is decaying. You don't scream. The sound is trapped in your throat, a solid knot of terror. You can only stand and watch as the architect of your nightmare enjoys his masterpiece. He takes a step out from behind the security desk. His movements are no longer gliding and supernatural. They are heavy, deliberate, the movements of something solid, something that has finally and fully crossed over into your reality. He is not a ghost anymore. He is a physical thing, and he is coming for you. You finally break. Your legs, which had been frozen, now remember how to work. You turn and run. You don't run for the glass doors. You know they are a lie. You run for the only other exit you can see, a heavy metal door at the side of the lobby, marked with a single stark word. S tier AAAAAFTA. 27 flights of stairs down to the real street level, if such a thing even exists anymore. It's a desperate, foolish plan, but it's the only one you have. You can hear his footsteps behind you. A slow, steady, unhurried thump, thump, thump on the cracking marble. He's not running. He doesn't need to. He knows he has all the time in the world. The sound terrifies you more than a frantic chase ever could. It is the sound of absolute certainty, the sound of a predator who knows its prey is already caught. You reach the stairwell door and throw your shoulder against the push bar. It groans open, and you stumble into the stark, concrete reality of the stairwell. You slam the heavy door shut behind you. It closes with a deafening boom that echoes up and down the concrete shaft. You listen, your breath held, for the sound of it opening again. You hear nothing but the echo and your own frantic heartbeat. For a moment, you are safe. The stairwell is cold, lit by bare bulbs and wire cages. The air is damp and smells of concrete dust and stale air. It is a place of pure function, devoid of any of the corporate artifice of the rest of the building. It feels real, solid. You start to descend, taking the stairs 2, 3 at a time, your feet pounding a desperate rhythm on the metal steps. 26, 25, 24. Your only thought is down, down, and out. There is a strange, obscure piece of urban folklore, a kind of modern ghost story that circulates online, known as the stairwell ritual. The stories vary, but the core idea is the same. If you find yourself in a strange or haunted building, you can escape by taking the stairwell. But you must follow a specific set of rules. You must not stop. You must not look back. And you must not listen to any voices that call your name. If you break the rules, the stairwell will change, the floors will repeat, and you will be trapped in an endless descending loop forever. It's just a story. But as you run, the rules echo in your mind like a commandment. Don't stop. Don't look back. Don't listen. You pass floor 15. Your lungs are burning. Your legs are screaming in protest. But you don't stop. You pass floor 10. You hear a sound from above. It's the sound of the stairwell door opening on a higher floor. And then you hear the footsteps again. That same slow, deliberate thump, thump, thump descending behind you. He's in the stairwell. He's following you. You push yourself harder. You flight now fueled by a fresh wave of adrenaline-fueled terror. 9, 8, 7. The footsteps above you remain slow, steady, unhurried. He is not trying to catch you. He is herding you. He is letting you run, letting you exhaust yourself, letting you think you have a chance. You hear a voice whisper your name, a dry, dusty sound that seems to come from right beside you. It's him. He's toying with you. Don't listen. You keep your eyes fixed on the steps in front of you, on the descending numbers painted on the wall. 6, 5, 4. You risk a glance over your shoulder. You look back up the spiraling staircase. You can see him, maybe 5 floors above you. A tall, dark figure in a hat, descending slowly, his hand trailing along the metal railing. He stops when he sees you looking. He tilts his head, and he lifts his hand from the railing and gives you a small, mocking wave. Don't look back. You broke the rule. A wave of despair washes over you, but you turn and keep running. What else can you do? 3, 2, 1. You reach the bottom, a door marked G's, ground floor. You throw yourself against it and burst out into a small, grimy hallway that leads to another door, an exit to a back alley. You can see the dirty glass window on the door, and through it, the blessed, beautiful sight of a grimy brick wall and a dumpster. It's real. It has to be real. You run the last few feet and slam the push bar. The door swings open, and you are hit by a blast of cool, damp night air. You're out. You're actually out. You stumble into the alley, gasping, and fall to your knees on the cracked, damp asphalt. You are shaking, sobbing, a wreck of a human being, but you are free. You look back at the door you just came through. It's a plain, unmarked metal door. You look up at the towering black shape of the office building. It is silent, watchful. You scramble to your feet and you run. You run down the alley, out onto the street, a real street, with passing cars and distant sirens, and you don't look back. You run until your legs give out, and then you walk, a numb, shambling wreck, all the way home. You have left the building, but as you walk under the lonely orange glow of the streetlights, you can't shake the feeling of the shadow that follows just a few steps behind you. a tall, thin shadow wearing a hat that is cast by no one at all. And so, you made it home. The familiar click of the key in your own lock, the scent of your own space, the feel of your own floor beneath your feet. These simple things, once taken for granted, now feel like luxuries, like artifacts from a life you used to know. You close the door, lock it, slide the chain across. A flimsy barrier against a thing that does not need a door. As you stand in the quiet of your own home, you can feel the echoes of the night still clinging to you. The chill from the weeping office seems to have settled deep in your bones, a cold that no blanket can warm. The silence of the false lobby rings in your ears, a constant low hum beneath the familiar sounds of your life. The story is over, but the feeling remains. Perhaps, as you get ready for sleep, you will check the locks a second time. Perhaps you will leave a light on in the hallway, a small rebellion against the suffocating darkness you endured. You will lie in your bed, the sheets cool against your skin, and you will listen. You will listen to the gentle groans of your own home settling, and you will wonder. You will wonder about the spaces between the sounds. The memory of the figure, the hat man, is a permanent shadow now, burned onto the back of your eyelids. You know that you will see him again, not in a haunted elevator, but in the quiet moments of your life. You will see him in your peripheral vision as you walk down a familiar street. You will see his silhouette standing at the far end of a darkened hallway in your own home. He will not speak, he will not approach. He will simply be there, a silent, patient reminder. A reminder of his final word, mine. The fear will fade. In time, it has to. The human mind can only sustain that level of terror for so long. It will dull into a constant, low-grade anxiety, a watchfulness, a deep and abiding mistrust of quiet rooms, of flickering lights, of elevators. You have brought the ghost home with you. Not in your house, but in your head, and it will live there quiet and patient in the dark corners of your mind forever. So now, as your own room grows quiet, as the world outside your window settles into the deep hush of night, let the story go. Let the images soften. The steel and glass, the flickering lights, the silent watcher, let them drift. Let them become just that, a story, a whisper in the dark. Your breathing slows, your muscles relax. The line between the story and your reality begins to blur, as it always does, on the gentle edge of sleep. And in that soft, in-between place, you can finally rest.